So we're at the National Motorcycle Museum today for the Trier Classic Day, and we're all excited to get going. Here's a selection of bikes.
I think it looks kind of cool. It doesn't work amazingly well, but it makes it unique.
Yeah, it makes it. You are? I'm in air filter. Oh no, it's a hand change, look.
Oh.
Yeah. It's 3HW, Deb. We've got that quite chunky one, is. Yeah, it's lovely.
The only ones I avoided the side gears.
They call Chevrolets.
Well, I think that's what they were going for. It's the last design of Val Page, Ariel's chief designer. This was.
Was this electric horse?
Well, yeah. Sorry, I'm with. Yeah, it's about 14 horsepower, so very
I
similar.
think I'll feel quicker than
The engine is a relative because it's based on the RT, so it's a relative of the MZ. It's very, very similar mechanically to the MZ. Very similar, actually.
gorgeous.
Right, so that's enough talk. Time for a bit of riding. So the first bike I jumped on was the Tiger 100 from 1939. Good bike to start with, actually. Nice gentle power. It's a little bit heavy in the turns, and always start out nice and gently on the first couple of laps with these bikes. Particularly if you've got a bike with girder forks. If you've been riding conventional bikes for a while and then you jump on something with girder forks, they can feel a little bit wandered. The front ends do wander about a little bit. There's always a bit of play in the bearings. So always sort of take it nice and gentle when you first set off. There's plenty of time after all to build a bit of speed up. We're going to do a few laps. But lovely machine. Follow my advice, the first bike that Tom jumped on was the Velocette KSS. These 350 overhead cams are absolutely gorgeous little machines. Their engines feel just superb. So a brilliant first choice for Tom.
As soon as I saw the bikes lined up and saw the Triumph 3SW, I knew it was going to be the first bike I had to ride on. It certainly didn't disappoint. The handling was superb. It just cornered so well and just hung onto the corners. As you can see, it's hardly any shaking in the steering. It's just one of my favourite bikes.
So Debbie got the Ariel Cyclone next. Very famously, of course, a bike owned by Buddy Holly. I don't think this particular bike though, actually. Really an A10 engine in an Ariel frame, so superb handling, a little bit taller than an A10, better centre stand though, but really nice bike. What did you think?
It was a nice bike and it rode well, but it's just the handlebars, just a bit too high for me. I would have preferred a more traditional English style rather than the American high bars.
So here's Tom bombing by on the Ariel. Slight confession here is that both me and Tom forgot to turn our cameras on when we were riding the thing. Maybe it was just too exciting.
Yeah, I just didn't like the look of this bike. It just looked too weird for me. I was forced to go on it, but I was so surprised. It handled really well and it was a nice bike.
Do you know, I'd love one.
Yeah,
I know they
you
look
know,
weird, but I loved one.
I-
The chassis was bloody brilliant.
I actually changed my mind after riding that.
Suppose we didn't get any decent shots of it on board though. So the 53 BSA A7500, Deb.
Yeah, I like this bike, but I just thought it was just a bit too heavy and powerful to go on this tight circuit.
Yeah, true. It didn't. I mean, it steered well actually, but it felt more top heavy than say my A10 did. And I think it's because it's got the plunger suspension. It's a different frame, you know. But I think once you got the hang of it and started pushing it into corners, it actually steered really nicely. But you had to put more effort in than you do on the swinging arm frame, which surprised me.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So Tom on the Royal Enfield Jap. This was the oldest bike, 1924, and probably the most difficult to ride with. Its hand change was really awkward because it got pushed into your knee. I mean, it would do you a serious injury, I think, if you hit anything. And the steering was a bit wayward, but it was a really lovely engine, very nice to ride, but not easy. Tom unfortunately ran wide it because the marshals told him to go off to one side mistakenly, and then when he tried to pull away again, he stalled it. So me and Tom really enjoyed it actually. But what about you, Deb?
I was not looking forward to riding this at all. The gear change just completely scares me to go around tight circuit and trying to change the gear. But they told me to keep it into first, don't change up. That's what I did, and it rode, although I nearly hit a hedge at one point.
Next bike I got was a bit of a flashback for everybody. BSA Bantam. Had one of these for a couple of years and found it not very reliable, but surprisingly quick. But on this tight circuit, I have to say, it was the most fun. It was brilliant. You could turn it inside the bigger bikes, handled fantastically, and actually those little Bantam engines do make good torque for a little two-stroke. So absolutely the most fun of the day actually.
Up or off?
Yeah, up or off. So it's one down, 3 off. Get into 8 second gear, and you can take the corners as quick as you like. So while Tom zipped off on the Bantam, I took out the B31, forgetting that there was a boy on a B175 behind me. And as I rounded the first corner, I saw the little beggar coming up the inside of me. I had no choice but to let him by. Well, so and so.
So this is the Tiger 100. Sounded absolutely amazing. The bars just felt a bit too much of a stretch for me, and at the end of the day it's not as nice as the 3SW.
Getting late in the day now, but I finally got onto the Triumph Thunderbird. Unfortunately, the poor Thunderbird had quite a lot of abuse during the day. I think a lot of people have been slipping the clutch an awful lot because it was getting a little bit hot and that clutch was playing up. To be fair to it though, by the end of my ride, I got about 8-10 laps in. The thing had smoothed up quite a bit, and I think the clutch was starting to cool off by the time I got off it, and handed the thing over to Tom, who was eagerly awaiting.
How is it?
Yeah. Just hold the clutch, Tom, get on.
What?
Hold the clutch, get on. I can't get any neutral.
Okay.
The clutch has got hot. Yeah, clutch feels like it's slipping.
Is it first?
Yes. Just take up in second and plenty. It's quite tall gear then, it's the first time being up.
Quite a far out clutch.
Yeah.
After waiting all day, I finally managed to get a ride on this beautiful aerial.
Meanwhile, I've jumped back on the Cyclone because nobody else seemed to want to ride it. And a few seconds behind is Tom on the B31.
Sadly, I only got 2 laps in before they put the flag up to stop the session.
Good idea.
Where's the first? Oh, there it is. Took it.
Ready?
There you go. Oh, I still didn't get them behaviours.
Which one did you go on? I didn't get on that. Your mum had a ride on this.
I didn't have a ride on that.
No, I didn't have a ride.
And
What was your favourite of the day?
I think for Bantam, Bantam was fucking sick.
So good.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah, for a tight place like this, the banter was absolutely brilliant. So ended a fantastic day. If you get the opportunity to do one of these riding days, you really must do it. Absolutely brilliant and a great experience for the whole family, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they support the museum. So, who won Marshall's Award for Rider of the Day, Dave?
Do you know, I wondered why you bring that up. If you enjoyed that video, don't forget to like and subscribe, but more importantly, support your local museums wherever you live. And thanks for watching, of course.